Well, welcome and good day, everyone. We, of course, glad you guys could join us again for another Talk It Over. Continuing, of course, in our series, The Power to Change. This is our fourth episode, I guess, in the series of Power to Change. Craig, of course, brought a great message today, and if you haven't had a chance to watch it, I do recommend you check out our YouTube channel at LifeNorth.Church. Of course, it is all there, the previous, up to current, everything is there, so you can get all caught up on this series because it has been so good. But before we dive into that, I have a special guest this week. My wife, actually, Leanne. So how are you doing, Leanne? How's your week been?
It was a busy week, but it was a good week. I want to say it was productive, but there were a few tasks I wasn't able to get fully accomplished this week. So hopefully by Monday I can get myself caught up. It'll be good.
Yeah, we all tend to have those sometimes throughout the weeks where we get things that just don't seem to get accomplished, or you're trying to get ahead and you just can't. Yeah, they certainly do creep up, and it can make it difficult, but we do tend to get through them.
Yes.
I know for me, yeah, it's been an up and down week. Work's been busy, odd jobs, things like that. It's been slightly more up and down. And of course, we're getting ready for a renovation, not an extremely planned renovation. Had a little bit of a water problem, and I got a bunch of water damage in our kitchen and main floor, and so we're actually on the move for the next few weeks. So we have to move out and be gone tomorrow. So it's been, again, that's just an added stress for us. But it's exciting. It's a bit of an adventure to go see how this is all going to play out with a 7-year-old in a hotel. So we'll see what happens, but
Yes.
Should be a lot of fun. So if you guys want to let us know how your week's been, what's been going on, maybe you've had a really exciting, good week, something that happened that was really good, please let us know. If not, if you've had a difficult week or something you've been trying or really difficult at work, please leave a comment as well. We would love to connect with you, pray for you, do what we can to try to help you get through that difficult point. So as I said, we are in The Power to Change, and it's been such a good series, I'd say.
Yeah.
And Craig continues to bring new points and things that kind of strike up as he's been building throughout this message. So this week is breaking the cycle that's breaking your life. And of course, last week we kind of talked about those good habits, things that Craig was talking about, and we kind of went the other way this week and talking about bad habits, things that maybe lead us down the wrong path or cause us to have bad, inconsistent habits, things that just aren't healthy for us. And so it was an excellent message. We'll just kind of dive into a little bit here. So he kind of talked about real lasting change isn't behavior modification, but spiritual transformation. And he kind of went over a few of the previous messages, again, kind of the main points. So please do check that out in this message. We've talked about our spiritual who in our first week, our spiritual why in our second week, our spiritual what, which was last week, and our spiritual what not, which again is our bad habits. So we want to base on who you want to become, what one habit do you need to break? And he kind of broke that down a little bit about what does that look like. You can't defeat what you can't define. And you look at that and it kind of makes sense. If you're not defining what the problem is or what the habit is, it can be difficult to really try to break it if you don't really know what it's from, right?
Yeah, well, and one of my habits, I don't know if this is a habit, probably, you probably know better than me, is when something gets really stressful, I can respond in an unloving way to somebody. But it's not because I'm really responding to them in the situation. I'm responding to the stress or the emotion that situation is bringing up within me, and just responding in a loving way to people and taking the habit of figuring out what's really going on inside of me so that I can be a more loving person and being more self-aware.
Yep. So Craig would then kind of gave us a couple points there on how do you break a bad habit. And our first one was to remove the cue. And he talked about cues last week, about kind of what's that triggering point to get us into that habit cycle. So trying to break that cue, change the cue, make something different that it's not so drawing to get into that cycle. And then he gave us the 5 most common cues which is a place, a time, a mood, a moment, and people. And he broke those down quite well. And yeah, some places can trigger us, times can change us. As you're talking about, moods can cause a cue. Different moments and people we're around can really start that cycle of a bad habit. And of course, he talked about food, and I agree. When you're hungry, sometimes you just don't respond well. You get into a bad habit, and it cues you because you're hungry. His second point there was to interrupt the action. He gave us the snooze button that we tend to like to hit in the mornings. We don't want to get up. So interrupting that, changing that cue, move the phone across the way. You have to get out of bed to get it. You're interrupting, you're breaking that kind of a cycle of just constantly hitting that snooze button and just getting up and going. So things like that can be very practical. Making just a minor change in how that works in that cue can make a big difference. It certainly can. So we're gonna dive into our talk it over here. And of course, we pull our questions from Life Church and their life group talk it over messages, which of course you can find there. And they're a great resource to be used in your life groups. They're a great way to lead a great conversation. Our scripture today comes from Proverbs 4:14 and 15. Do not set foot on the path of the wicked or walk in the way of evildoers. Avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn from it and go on your way. And I think that really strikes it pretty hard about you need to go a different direction. You can't follow that path. You can't be involved in whatever that cue is or whatever that direction is. And also speaks to the people around us. That group of people can really influence us in a way that can be negative or positive. Okay, so our first question, again, talking about habits. Do you like the direction your habits are taking you by chance, Leanne? Do you have good habits that you like?
I always get this like all or nothing mindset where I'm always doing everything really, really well, or because I've failed on this one thing, I do everything horribly. And so this question makes me think like, well, I don't do it perfectly, so no, I don't like where my life is going. But I'm like, no, I need to give myself some grace and be like, okay, life, yeah, I stumble, I make mistakes, it's hard. But overall, I'm actually doing some pretty good habits, building some new ones into my life through this message that I'm learning from Craig. God's been challenging me on, and just so that I can kind of better myself and become a better person, a more loving wife, mom, friend to the people in my life.
That's good. That's an interesting perspective about all or nothing. Talking about perfection. If it's not perfect, it's bad. It's very interesting. I think a lot of us can fall into that mindset of we're looking for that perfection and really trying to strive for that. And I don't think it's bad to strive towards perfection because it allows us to continue to get better. But having that as your central focus of it has to be perfect.
And we never get to perfection.
No, we never get there. We can strive to that direction.
We could,
We're not going to arrive at perfection.
Not till we get to heaven.
Yes.
And I think that's like our human build of God that God has given us, that we want to be in heaven. And so we're searching for that longing to be with him. And there's just no way we can fulfill that here.
No, definitely not here. No, that's for sure. A big broad spectrum for me. Yeah, you look at the habits, it's like, man, I don't think I've got any good habits. I don't even know what habits I even have. But we talked about this in Life Group last week. Kind of what does that look like, and really kind of breaking down things that maybe have become almost like routine habit that you really don't even think about what you're doing. And yeah, the direction for me in that more focused idea. Yeah, serving at church each week, great habit. Tithing each week, great habit. Spending time in community with people at church, great habit. Being in a life group each and every week, great habit. So I think for me, breaking it down to the smaller pieces and really looking at just things that maybe I don't think about as a habit actually turns out to be quite good. And I like the direction because I know the direction I was on before all these habits came into place was a very different direction. It wasn't where I was headed now. And so, yeah, no, I think a lot of the habits I have now are certainly positive and helping me into a better direction. There, of course, is a few that aren't great, but we're going to dive into those just in a little bit here. So the message, very impactful, very, very strong message. Was there a point in there, or maybe an idea that that really impacted you?
Oh man, there was a bunch of them. I think the main one was the 5 common cues that he talked about. And when Craig talked about the acronym of HALT. So like a cue can be like kind of a subcategory, I guess, under moods. HALT is an acronym for hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. So when you're hungry, angry, lonely, and tired, that can be one of your cues for a bad habit in your life. You can also use rewire your brain so that you can use those as good like triggers to do something good and build a good habit in your life too. So I don't know, I really resonated with that. There's lots of times where it was just a bad day. I didn't want to have to deal with any more stuff in life, and I'm just at my max. I'm just done. I'm tired. Sometimes I'm angry, sometimes I'm hungry because I didn't eat well throughout the day. And so I just go for what's comfortable. I don't go on the treadmill at the end of the day. I go and sit on the couch and watch a show because that's what I say is going to make me feel better, but that's not actually what will make me feel better.
Yeah, that I hear a lot of decision overload. When, again, many messages ago, we're limited to a certain amount of decisions we can make in a day. And once we hit that limit, we just kind of shut off. And we can get into these different habits where we just kind of shut off. That's it. I'm done. No more. That's it.
Yep.
And that can be difficult to try to find a good habit in there when the cue is like, I'm done. Another good one I heard kind of there that kind of triggered for me was, I don't want to go on the treadmill. I don't want to do that. Goes back to another message, pre-decide.
Yes.
And we've talked about this before on here about those pre-decisions, making it ahead of time that this is what's going to happen, and you're not going to step aside from it to reduce that decision overload that it's already happened. You know you're doing it. I found for me that makes a big difference in pre-deciding things because it can be difficult in the moment when feelings creep up. It can be hard to want to do things.
Yeah, when you pre-decide that like this cue of whatever is in my life, once I do that thing, then I go and do the next thing, and kind of building on our good habits. So like for me, I want to learn how to work out more and be healthier. And so one of my cues is when I put our son to bed, then I go on the treadmill. And so on Thursday, I was tired, I was done, it was a really long day. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm like, no, Leanne, your cue is to put your son to bed, then go on the treadmill.
Yep.
So I did. And I was on the treadmill. I think I did a pretty good workout. I wasn't working as hard as I would have, but I still felt like I won afterwards.
Yep.
Because I got there.
Yep, for sure. For me, there's a couple points. His first point with Samson and the 56,000 whatever steps into the direction he went to eventually, that took him to a point where he did die. I thought that was quite interesting because I guess he never broke down like a 20-mile walk into 56,000 and some odd steps. I thought was quite interesting. The one that really hit for me was him talking about, screen time, looking at a screen on your phone, on a computer, whatever that might be. Specifically, I would say more social media, and spending 4 hours a day times this, and it works out to like 10 years worth of time
of your life.
You potentially can spend just looking at social media on your phone, on a device, on a computer, whatever that might be. And that just kind of hit me really hard because I'm like, that's quite interesting, because I think we get into the mindset of we just look at it and we don't think about the time that's being consumed. And man, 10 years, what could I do with 10 years? Like, it got me thinking, like, what could I do with 10 years? Like, I could do a lot of things with 10 years of time. Like, it's just like, wow, it's striking. It's staggering with that. And then you add in something else, and all of a sudden, like, you could be spending like 15 years doing things that aren't great.
It's really not going to get you any further in life because
you
checked your social media feed for.
Yeah, it doesn't help you. It doesn't make things better. It just was staggering, just that number, and it really hit to like, man, I really need to pay even closer attention to what I'm spending time on, where my time is going, what does that look like? Can I make my time more efficient? So yeah, I thought that was quite interesting how he brought that together. It's a big number. It's a scary number. It's a very scary number. So let us know, guys, in the chat. Maybe there was a part that was really stood out to you, really hit home for you in this message. Please leave it in the comments. We, of course, would love to hear some of these answers. And yeah, maybe it's the screen time. Maybe it's that. Maybe that's the bad habit that we need to look at, is maybe breaking the amount of screen time. Because sometimes that can be a cue. You sit down, flip out the phone, right? And that can be the cue, is just sitting down, you just flip out your phone, right? So very strong point. Really liked it. Okay, we're going to jump in here. I'm going to read Proverbs 13:20. We have, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. So, who is someone wise you can spend more time with, and how do you think that might impact you?
Well, that's a good question.
It is. It's an excellent question.
Yeah, that's why I asked it, right?
Exactly.
I love the ladies in my life group, and I think they're wise, and just the community that we have within it. And there's a lot of times where I go through my life and just being like, no, I can do this all by myself. I don't need any help. I don't need to spend time with other people because I got this. There's something that I learned when I was maybe 3 years old. All myself. I don't need your help. I made my parents sit down and teach me how to tie my shoes when I was way too young to actually learn. And I learned it because I wanted that independence. And I think if I spent more time with them, then I'd be more community focused, less me focused. And then when I get me focused, and then I get depressed. I get this barreling thought and emotions just kind of pile on each other. And then I go from I'm doing a great job with my life to I mean nothing, I am nothing, I have no value. And I kind of, one day I can start off thinking this is a really good day, and then turn to I have no value. And what happens when you can actually just get yourself there so easy. But when you have the community with people around you building into you, and then you don't allow that to happen, you have other people actually speaking truth into your life. Yep. So yeah, I think my life group, spending more time with them intentionally, just hanging out. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think the life groups make a huge impact. I know they impact each of us individually in different ways. And having those different perspectives certainly make for great conversation, but also get us thinking. Yeah. They give us a different vantage point of a topic or conversation, whatever it might be. And I know for me that helps me to open up the idea of, oh, that's different. That could be better. How could I implement some of that? Or makes me question, I've been doing it this way. Maybe I could do it differently and it'll be better. So yeah, the guys in my life group for sure, for me is very similar. Yeah. Spending time with them each and every week, at life group, spending time on Sundays with them, it certainly makes a big difference. And Craig has talked about this many times, about the people you're around or the people you become, or the person you become. And I certainly believe that's completely true. I totally agree. And if you're around foolish people or people that are a bad influence, generally you're going to become a bad influence. It's how you act, it's how you are, because those people influence you and change how you think. And so having those positive, wise people in your life certainly make a huge difference. And that's why we do life groups. It's exactly why, is to have that built in each and every week, that you get that time to spend with them.
and
Yep.
really get to build into each other and have great conversations, which of course we both do in our life groups. And yeah, it just makes a big difference. It makes a huge difference. So yeah, let us know, guys. Is there someone in your life that's like that? Someone that's wise, someone that's, been a really good role model influence for you? Maybe let them know, because sometimes they don't always know that. And just let them know of how much they've impacted you in such a positive way. And maybe you're in a group of people you're not sure they're right fit for you. And if that's the case, then maybe it's time to make a change.
Yep.
And maybe start looking for some more wise, positive, influencing people that can maybe help you break a bad cycle. All right, so let's talk about mindsets when it comes to our habits. What would our mindsets be? What needs to shift in your mindset in order to break a bad habit?
A few things. The whole all or nothing mindset that I was talking about earlier.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do this perfectly, so I'm not going to do it at all. It's bad. I need to stop. Yeah, I think shifting my mindset of just maybe changing from the all or nothing, or do it all, or I'm not going to do it well at all, to with God I can, or with God I can try, and training my brain and rewiring my brain so that I've been learning a lot about soundtracks and the things that we tell ourselves, and how the self-talk that we tell ourselves of I have to do it all or nothing, just rewiring that to having a better, more Christ-centered mindset of God can help me. With God's help, I can do this. Or I've got a great team of people cheering me on. I am doing this with other people. I'm not doing this alone. And yeah, just relying on God's help, training my body, training my mind, rather than just trying harder.
So really focusing on the community part.
Yeah.
Making sure we have that built-in community, as we talked about before, about having that positive background of people that is with us.
Yeah.
Influencing us in a positive way.
Yeah.
Mindset on habits. Oh man. Sometimes, yeah, your mindset is hard. Getting started with tithing, that was a big one. It was changing the mindset about from why do I need to give this? Why can't I just give whatever I feel? But that's listening to feelings. And so changing that into the mindset of, no, it's all God's. I get to use 90% of it. He gets his 10. That was a tough mindset. That was a big change. That was a big change for me, changing that mindset of, no, this is all his. It's not mine. And he asked for 10% back. And so shifting that mindset into, no, I get to manage 90. I get to use that 90. And then giving that 10% back, and then seeing the blessings that come out of that, certainly was huge. It was a big shift. But it took a while to get into that mindset of 90-10 from just, it's all mine. So that was an interesting mindset change for me, for sure. But it's good. It's good. We need to break some of those bad mindsets, those negative ones that tend to hold us back. Yeah, breaking habits, it's hard. That one bad habit is food. It's a bad habit. And it's a bigger bad habit because I love food so much. It's not like my dad who just eats because he needs to. I eat because I just enjoy it. It's a very different mindset. And trying to break that into, what does that look like? So trying to stop the cue of, hey, we're watching the show, let's have a snack. I need to break that. It sounds funny, but it's true. I need to break that cue of watching a show, having a snack. That just seems to be a cue for me. So breaking that one, I would say portion sizing, preparing food at smaller amounts so there's not much left, so you can't just keep eating, I think is a big one. So yeah, I'd like to break a few of those and change a few of those. Again, for just a healthier life, I think would be better. That's not necessarily trying to, I would say, lose weight. I know we talked about this in life groups. Sometimes when you set those goals of, I'm going to lose weight, and then you get to that, and then it's like, now what? Now where do I go? And a lot of the time, you put the weight back on because you've reached the goal, and now it's like, okay, I'm done. It's whatever.
Yeah.
So I think the mindset shift is I want to just be healthy. Not necessarily lose weight, not necessarily hit a goal, but just be healthy.
Yeah.
And again, adjusting that food, what foods, how much, and when, I think will be big. But it's trying to change those cues and moving the cue from, if I sit down and I think about a snack, let's have a glass of water instead. Let's do something different. Let's try to break that. So yeah, I think that's going to be a good starting point. I think it's going to be challenging, but understandably, I know it is. But again, I've got that support around me that would help me with that and to try to break that cycle. So I think it'll be really, really good. Challenging, but good. So let us know, guys, what are those habits? How does your mindset sit around that with different things, habits in your life? What is your mindset? Please let us know in the comments. We would, of course, love to hear from you guys because we just want to know. We want to connect and know. So, yeah. Well, that's going to bring us about to the end of our time here together. We, of course, want to thank you, Leanne, for joining us as a special guest this week.
Thank you for having
fun.
me. Yeah.
We want to thank, of course, the tech guys behind us, of course, making this happen, getting it all up so it's available for everyone to use and be a part of. And again, I strongly urge you guys, if you're not in a life group, join one, start one, you two friends. Again, you can get these questions all on LifeNorth.Church. It's all there. YouVersion Bible app. It's there.
Yep.
You can go through there. You can get the message notes. It's all there. So I strongly encourage you guys to do that because we know the impact it's had on us in our life groups and the changes it's made for us. And we know it can make that change for you guys too. So just encourage you for that. And we, of course, want to remember, whoever finds God finds life.